Many factors that affect the cardiac output include heart rate. A higher heart rate increases cardiac output, but an excessively high heart rate can decrease it. The stroke volume, the amount of blood pumped out by each ventricle per minute, that is the stroke volume, and it is affected by preload, afterload, and contractility. If we see the preload, then it determined by the intrathoracic pressure, atrial contribution, and central venous pressure, and more. After load, the tension the ventricles must develop to pump blood against the resistance in the vascular system. So, contractility, it increases the contractility, improving the stroke volume. Age. As you age, your heart valves get stiff and make it hard for your heart to fill with the blood. So the blood pressure. The high blood pressure require your heart to pump with more forces, and hormones, adrenaline and non-adrenaline, increases heart rate and cardiac output, while acetylcholine decreases the heart rate. Medications. Anti-hypersensitive drug and beta blockers can reduce heart rate. Exercise. Whether an individual is at rest or exercise can affect cardiac output. Emotion. Stress or excitement can increase the heart rate or cardiac output. So, the cardiac output is the product of stroke volume and heart rate. For an healthy individual, cardiac output is about 5 to 8 liters per minute. Let's know the factor that affect the stroke volume, specifically how preloading, contractility, and afterloading influence it. So stroke volume is equal to EDV, that is the end diastolic volume minus end systolic volume. So preloading is raised due to the fast filling time, more time for the heart to fill, increased venous return, that is more blood coming into the heart. Then it increases the end diastolic volume, and then finally increase the systolic volume. So it lowers due to decrease in thyroid hormone, decrease in calcium ion, and increase and decrease in potassium and sodium. So it lower the blood pressure, hypoxia, abnormal pH, drug like calcium channel blockers, and its effect is decreasing the end diastolic volume, which decreases the systolic volume. Then contractility is raised due to the sympathetic stimulation, epinephrine and norepinephrine, and higher intercellular blood calcium, and even the thyroid hormone and glycagon, and its effect is to decrease the end systolic volume and increase the systolic volume. It is lowered due to the parasympathetic stimulation, acetylcholine, hypoxia, and hyperkalemia, and its effect is increasing the end systolic volume, which finally decreases the systolic volume. Then afterloading is raised due to increased vascular resistance in semilunar, and because of that what happens is semilunar wall is damaged, and effect is increasing the end systolic volume, which further decreases the systolic volume, and is lower due to decreasing the vascular resistance, example vasodilation. The effect is decreasing the end systolic volume, which increases the systolic volume. The important point is preloading increases the filling time. It is increased by the filling time. Effect is that it increases the end diastolic volume, and it increases the stroke volume. Both the preloading and contractility increases the stroke volume, and the effect is that the end diastolic volume is increased in preloading, and in contractility it is decreased, whereas there is a decrease in end systolic volume and contractility, and in afterloading there is increase in end systolic volume and decrease in the stroke volume. Always remember that where there is an increase in the systolic volume, end systolic volume is increased, at that time the stroke volume will always decrease. And even if the stroke volume is decreasing, the stroke volume even if the end systolic volume is decreasing, the stroke volume can increase. Example, in contractility, where the sympathetic system is present, calcium ions are present and hormones are present. At that time there is a decrease seen in the end systolic volume, but the stroke volume is increasing. So cardiac output is an amount of the blood your heart is pumping out every minute, and the important formula in this cardiac output is equal to heart rate into the stroke volume. So the heart How many times your heart beat per minute is the heart rate. There are important keys. For example, the autonomic nervous system is divided into sympathetic nerves which speed up your heart and parasympathetic nerve which slow down it. So the hormone like epinephrine and neonephrine, they stimulate your heart to be faster, and atrial reflex is happens when more blood flow into the artery, stretching the receptor signal to the brain and to increase the heart rate. Then factors that affect the stroke volume, they are we have known the factors in detail, the preloading and contractility and these types, but main thing is the formula for stroke volume, which is end diastolic volume minus end systolic volume. So this effect, what is the effect of it? The stroke volume is controlled by three major things. We know that the preloading, where the stretching of the heart muscle before contraction occurs, there is more venous return or filling time is longer, and it increases the end diastolic volume, which increases the stroke volume. But preloading decreases it if the hormone like thyroid, like calciums are lower, or if the body temperature drops, or if there is hypoxia or acid base imbalance, it reduces the end diastolic volume and lowers the stroke volume. Then in contractility, we have seen how stronger the heart contract. Contractility goes up when the sympathetic system is active. Hormone like epinephrine, neonephrine, thyroid hormone, or glycogen are released, or where there is more calcium present, and this decreases the end systolic volume, means more blood is pushed out and higher stroke volume is seen. Contractility goes down due to the parasympathetic stimulus, hypoxia, acetylcholine, or higher potassium, that is hyperkalemia, and that increases the end systolic volume and reduces the stroke volume. Now that final one is afterload, when this is resistance to the heart but much push against to eject the blood. Afterloading goes up due to higher vascular resistance and damage to the semilunar wall, and it increases the end systolic volume, so stroke volume drops. But if the vascular resistance drop, like in vasodilation, end systolic volume decreases and stroke volume increases. So the cardiac output, your body can either beat faster, push out more blood with each of the beat, that is increasing the systolic volume, and the heart rate is the beat of the heart, and that's how your body meet the oxygen demand of exercise, stress, or rest. So that's it, and simple, clear, and powerful one. Don't forget about the formula, that is the CO is equal to HR into SV. Now what is this CO and HR? We know that the cardiac output is equal to heart rate into the stroke volume. And what is an cardiac output? Is the total volume of blood the heart pumps every minute, that is the cardiac output.